Today I want to talk to you about a topic that is near and dear to every writer's heart. And, frankly, every middle schooler's heart as well. And that is rejection. And I want to teach you how to avoid the most insidious form of rejection. The kind you do to yourself. Stick around. Hey there, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if it's your first time here. It's great to have you. I'm John Hartness. I'm the founder and publisher of Falstaff Books, a freelance editor, and the author of over 40 novel-length works, including The Black Knight Chronicles, Bubba the Monster Hunter, and Quincy Harker Demon Hunter, among others. And yes, it is still a bad hair day at Casa de Falstaff. It's June and I sweat a lot, so there's a lot of bad hair days in the summer, kids. Sorry. So you get the I am a Gen Xer and I love Samuel L. Jackson, so there's a Kangol cap in my wardrobe. But today I want to talk about something that came up at StokerCon and on the drive back from StokerCon with Teresa, my associate publisher. Self-rejection. 10 years ago, on a cold, dark night. No, wait, that's the beginning of Long Black Veil. That's very different. 10 years ago, at the final World Horror Con in Atlanta, I saw a panel featuring an agent named Cherry Weiner. And she said something that stuck with me for 10 years. And that was that whenever she takes pitches, fewer than half the people she requests pitches from actually follow up with her. And I thought about that, and I thought that was kind of ridiculous. Until I started taking pitches. And I realized that, damn, crazy old woman's right. I saw Cherry again at StokerCon, and I brought this up on a panel when everyone who was going to be taking pitches was on this massive panel with a full room. And I said, a long time ago, I saw Cherry on a panel, and she told me that the biggest mistake that most writers make is when someone asks for pages or chapters, they don't send them. And she kind of looked at me and was surprised that I had remembered that. Probably surprised that I remembered that I was in the audience for that panel, because it had been a decade and I don't think we've seen one another since then. We've talked a few times. Regardless, we chatted afterwards and she said, yeah, the ratios haven't changed. And I said, yeah, I thought you were nuts when you first said it, till I started being in a position to take pitches and realized that, yeah, fewer than half the people that I ask for chapters from send me chapters. More than half of you self-reject. So I want to go over some things that Teresa helped me put together for this. And let's talk about self-rejection, because sometimes you're your harshest critic, and sometimes you're a 90s pop rock band song and you're your own worst enemy. And when you don't follow up with someone who says, yeah, send me chapters, you're being your own worst enemy. Truth number one. I am not being nice when I ask you to send me chapters. I'm not that nice. Feel free to watch any video where I talk about generative AI and you will understand exactly how not nice I can be. I'm busy. I do not have time in my life to even farm out emails to my slush readers for stuff that I'm not interested in. And especially if we're at a horror event, I do not have the time. because my production manager is also my fastest and most efficient, most brutally efficient slush reader, and she does not read horror. So if I'm asking for chapters at a horror event, I know I'm actually going to have to read them. I'm very much not nice when it comes to making more work for myself. I'm a lot nicer when it comes to making more work for other people. Please don't tell Aaron. So if you get home and think, well, that fat guy with the beard, he was just being nice. He's jolly like Santa Claus. I'm not that friggin' jolly. I'm also not that fat. And yeah, but my beard is about right. Anyway, do not assume that we were telling you to send us stuff to be polite. That's never happening. No one in this industry has the free time to read your stuff to be nice. So if we ask for it, send it. Sometimes people will tell you that you're not ready, that your work isn't ready. If that person doesn't have the authority to give you a contract for a book, they might not be who you want to be listening to. Let's say you have a critique partner or a critique group, and you've been working on this project with them for 6 months, a year. You go to a conference. I ask you for chapters and a cover letter. You go back, you talk to your critique group. You're all excited and they're like, oh, well, I don't know. I don't know if it's really ready. Can they write you a contract? Can they put books with your name on it on the shelf? If the answer is no, then you damn sure better be listening to me, who can actually do that, over them who can't. Anytime someone is giving you advice in this industry, for God's sake, consider the source. If I am giving you advice about how to make the New York Times bestseller list, please side-eye me to hell and back. I've never been on a New York Times bestseller list. I've never published a book that has hit the New York Times bestseller list in my edition. I have published books that were New York Times bestsellers, but they had already made the list, made the big press their money, and gotten reverted, and then I reissued them. I have never published a New York Times best-selling book. I've never edited a New York Times best-selling book, and I've never written a New York Times best-selling book. I've read some. That's all I got. So if I'm telling you how to be a New York Times bestseller, consider the source and consider it probably ain't worth crap. If you come back to your critique group that didn't go to the conference, that didn't pitch anything, that didn't get any chapters requested, that has never made any money off of a book and has never gotten a contract, and you're all excited that you got a request for a manuscript and they're poo-pooing on you, think they might be putting a little too much jelly on their toast? Because I do. Consider the source, especially when someone is telling you that you or your book or your writing isn't good enough. I will very seldom tell an author that their work is not good enough. I may tell them that it's not right for me. I may tell them that this is not as good a book as I know you can write. Get your ass back on the keyboard and get back to work. I've said that to several of you. But that's because I've read your books and I've seen you do better. So maybe I think that you just need a foot in your ass to get you motivated. But if someone's telling you that your book isn't ready for anyone to even look at, figure out who they are that they should know and that you should respect their opinion, and think about why they have that opinion right now. Once you have made the book the best it can be, the best you can make it, or you and your critique partners, or you and your beta readers, and you're ready to submit it to someone who has asked you for chapters, your inner critic is going to jump right in on you and say, nah, it's not good enough. Nah, it's not good enough. No, you should shelve it. Tell your inner critic to kiss your ass. And if that doesn't work, tell your inner critic to kiss my ass. I got a lot. There's plenty of space. It'll keep your inner critic busy for days kissing this posterior. Please don't actually come up and try to kiss me at events on the ass or anywhere else. That would be freaky. But yeah, your inner critic is a douche, and your inner critic isn't interested in you succeeding. Your inner critic wants to create a self-fulfilling prophecy of failure. And this may be because, like so many of us, you have mental health struggles that you've dealt with since your youth, or maybe new mental health struggles that you've come up with in your life. But your inner critic is an asshole. Don't listen to them. Now, when you are getting ready to pitch, one of the worst things you can do is get in front of somebody and freeze. Get in front of somebody and panic. We know this shit is stressful. We've done it. Hell, I pitched to an agent at StokerCon. I did it pretty informally, and I did it in a panel room, but it was still stressful for me because I had scanned the list of agents before the con, and I decided I wanted to talk to this guy about a project and about representing me for sections of my career. This was something I wanted to do, so yeah, I was nervous talking to him. But I faked it, I hid it, and I didn't get there and freeze up like a deer in the headlights. I didn't stammer. I made it conversational. I made it collegial. I didn't read anything off of a notepad or a piece of paper. And yes, we know it's stressful. And no, we don't mind if you read your pitch off of a piece of paper. We don't love it, especially when you're pitching to an agent. This is someone who's looking to invest in your whole career. They want to know you as a human being. When I'm looking to work with an author, I'm looking to work with an author for multiple books along the way. Even the process of producing one book with an author is a 2 to 3 year relationship before the book exists, and then it's several years on the back end after. This is longer than the vast majority of Hollywood marriages. We're going to need to be able to get along. I want to know you as a human being. It's one reason we don't take unsolicited, unagented submissions via email. I want to look you in the eye. I'm an old school sales guy. That's also why I wanted to pitch an agent in person, because I've always felt like if I can get to the table, I can get at least a maybe. So take all the opportunities that you have to do practice pitches. If you've got a critique group, have them critique your pitch, critique their pitch. You were never better at anything you want to do than when you have to teach someone how to do it. I became a far better writer when I started editing. And most people who edit tell me the same thing. So if you're pitching, listen to pitches from your friends. Tell them what did and didn't connect. then you'll subconsciously process that, and when you pitch to them, they'll tell you what did and didn't connect, and you can decide whether their advice is good or not. But take the time and practice. Have your material not down cold. It doesn't have to be rote, but it does need to be very familiar. It needs to feel natural to you. And make sure that you're pitching to the right people, that you're pitching at the right stage. If you don't want anything but an agent, well, you shouldn't sit across a table from me. I'm not an agent, and I can't offer representation. If you only want a New York publishing deal, you shouldn't pitch to me. I don't have that. So make sure that you're going to the right places when you're pitching. And that keeps you from committing the greatest cardinal sin in any industry, and that's wasting the time of the person across the table from you. We're all busy. We're all working hard, and we're working a lot. I'm shooting this at like 9:30 at night after I edited 60 pages on a Sunday and worked on a lot of organization around my house for a garage sale next weekend. So, and that's on my Sunday. So don't waste your time, and don't waste the person taking the pitch's time. If you do these things, you will put yourself in a much better position to be comfortable about the pitch. And then, when you're comfortable, you'll pitch better. Final note, my final bit of wisdom. Your plot is not your pitch. This goes for pitching to a publisher, pitching to an editor, pitching to an agent, or once you have the book, pitching to a customer. Your plot is not the pitch. We do not buy books because we have this huge plot all explained to us. 1 to 2 sentences about the plot, and then tell us about the characters and why we care. We need to connect with characters. So tell us why we care about these people. And the more you write people, not characters and not caricatures, the easier it is to give the folks listening to your pitch something to latch on to that says, ooh, I need to read more of that. And this is something that'll go through the entirety of your career. You can stand there at a table and describe the entire plot of your entire series, and you can sell some books that way, and you can be successful, and my God, you'll be twice as tired as I am at the end of the day because you're working twice as hard for every sale. If you're standing next to me telling somebody everything that goes on in 2 or 3 books of a series, and I see somebody look at the cover of Bubba the Monster Hunter and say, "Scattered, Smothered, and Chunked, that's a funny title." And I say, "Yeah, it's all about rednecks, dick jokes, and explosions." Well, I know right then whether or not I'm going to sell a book to that person just based on how they react to that. And I said maybe 10 words. And I didn't stand up to do it. So that's a little bit about pitching. That's a little bit about keeping me from rejecting you. But scroll back to the very beginning, because that's the really important part, because you are rejecting yourself before I get a chance to, and that's not fair to either of us. It robs you of the opportunity to be published, and it robs me of the opportunity to crap all over your hopes and dreams. And that is why I got into publishing after all, is to crap all over everyone's hopes and dreams, right? No, not right. But hey, If you've made it this far and you're interested in hanging out with publishing's grumpy uncle more often, feel free to hit that subscribe button, give us a like. Tell me in the comments your worst rejection you've ever received. And no, I don't want to hear about that girl who didn't want to go to the middle school dance with you. That's going to bring back some of my own personal trauma, and I don't need that. Just stick to writing. And if you want your name on the wall, like these awesome people, you can become a member. That costs a few bucks, but you get my BS free. Subscribing costs you nothing, and it really does help out the channel. So, till next time, bye.